Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really cute pinafore dress. Let's get started! For this project, I got 2 yards of a pink plaid fabric, which I used most of, and I began by cutting off the uneven edges. I used the lines on the pattern to cut all of my lines straight. Then I measured out my pieces and most of them lined up with the lines already on the fabric, which made it really easy to cut out. And then I cut out the skirt, which I folded 2 times to make a full circle skirt. And these are the measurements. All the measurements include a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I began by making the straps, where I folded it in half long ways and sewed all along the edge. I trimmed off about half of the seam allowance to make it less bulky when I turn it inside out. Now that it was right side out, I ironed it out flat. I measured out how much I wanted it to be elastic, which for me was 13 inches, and inserted the elastic up until that point. I only made a part of the back elastic because I don't want the entirety of the straps to look gathered. I cut out the elastic so it reaches all the way to the back so that the extra length could be gathered. It was pretty tricky to put in the elastic since I couldn't use a safety pin, but I managed. Then I used tweezers to reach in and pull out the elastic so I could secure it in place with a few stitches on the end of the straps. Ends of your strap should be stretchy. I'm going to put 2 rows of top stitches along the elastic while stretching it so the fabric on top and below it lays evenly over the elastic and stays in place. This is how it should look when you're done. Make sure you repeat all the same steps on the other strap. The final step for the straps is to put top stitches along each edge where there's no elastic for a nice detail. We are going to go on to making the front band, where you want to make sure to put on interfacing first, which I forgot to do until later. Then I put them right sides together and sewed along 3 sides, leaving one of the longer sides open. I turned it inside out and ironed it, and pinned it on my dress form along with the main waistband and strap so I could see where I should sew on the straps. The hanging piece of fabric in the back you just saw is where it's going to be gathered later on. Then I just sewed exactly where I pinned it. Here's how it should look. I put interfacing 12.5 inches from each edge on both waistbands, and this is how they should look at this point. I put them right sides together and sewed along the 3 edges, leaving the bottom open. Also being careful that all the straps are carefully in place. I cut the corners to turn them right side out and then iron them flat. Then I attached the front waistband, overlapping them by 1 inch and making sure to leave a flap open on both sides to put the grommets later. Next, I attached the right side of the skirt to the right side of the waistband. They should fit perfectly together. Make sure to leave a little bit open to put in the elastic next. Cut out 3 pieces of elastic, the length I wanted them, and placed them next to each other on the waistband, following the same steps we did with the straps. Except this time, I only put 1 row of top stitches for each piece of elastic, making 3 rows of stitches in total on the waistband. Since this fabric was very prone to fraying, I bound the raw edges with bias tape, but you can also just zigzag stitch or leave it raw depending on how much your fabric frays and what you want to do with it. Next, it's time to add the grommets. I wanted to add 4, so I divided my space into fifths, which ended up being about 3/4 of an inch between each grommet. I used a grommet hole punch to cut out the circles and just use a kit I got to put the grommets in place. If you've never done this before, I highly recommend you practice first on a scrap piece of fabric. Now the only thing left to do is to hem the skirt. I also recommend that at the end you steam the elastic in the straps and waistband so it becomes stretchier. Once you're finished, you can add the ribbon and then you're done! I hope you enjoyed this video and please like and subscribe. Thank you!